Hello, I'm Randy Char, owner and broker of Char Luxury Real Estate, and today we're super excited to present the luxury market update for November 2020. We'll talk about the luxury market, the move-up market today, and with me, my phenomenal associate, Kaori, Nagao.
Today, my broker, Randy Char from Char Luxury Real Estate and I will be discussing the November statistics and giving you a market update. So Randy, how are you?
Excellent.
Good to see you?
Yeah, thank you. Good to see you too.
Awesome. So today we'll be talking about the November updates, and we're also going to be doing a deep dive into the emerging luxury market segments, which I'm really excited about. So let's start with the market update. So in November, we had 2,939 units sold, which was up by 26.1% compared to last year. And then the median price has gone up again. It's $349,000, which is up by 13.3% compared to last year. Randy, what do you think?
Wow, it's been a phenomenal year. You know, we started the year off, obviously we were way behind because of what was happening, and then we came roaring back. But typically, November, December, our holiday season in Las Vegas is seasonally a little bit slower than, let's say, the fall and the spring seasons, but not this year. This year, absolutely incredibly on fire. I mean, the statistics you just read there, up 26%. That is a huge jump, and even more surprisingly, the appreciation in Vegas at 13%, over 13%, is very high. Median price at $349, even with the 13%, I might add though, still presents a pretty good value relative to other markets, you know, like California and such. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see this continue to creep.
Yes, and then you know the median price, it's been going up since April. We're on an upward hill here, and it's been going up. You know, compared to last month, it went up $5,000. I think that's a great increase in the median price.
I mean, really, it's driven a lot by, we just don't have that much supply. I mean, there's just not that many homes to go around for all the frenzy that's kind of going on. In addition to that, you have low interest rates. I think the last one we read is like mid-twos. I mean, that's just incredible.
Absolutely.
So that presents a more affordable payment option for folks. And $349, coincidentally, is just a hair under the FHA limit.
Yes.
So you don't even need a lot of capital, a lot of down payment to be able to get into a home. So with all those things combined, it's no surprise to see that things are going pretty well.
Wonderful. Now looking at the luxury market, which is $1 million and plus, last month in November, 90 units were sold. We are up by 95.6% compared to last year. That's a significant percentage again, right, Randy? And the median price also at $1 million and $5, which is up 6.4% compared to last year.
Yeah, that's actually pretty surprising to see that much absorption increase from November of last year. I mean, it's almost doubled, 90 sales. And when you go out there, it's really happening. You know, one thing is to read statistics, the other is kind of to live it. In the last 30 days, we've had 3 multi-million-dollar transactions occur. One gentleman was coming from California, splitting his residences. We were looking in Southern Highlands, which is interesting that the inventory was so low. His budget was in the $3 million range, and he couldn't find what he was looking for.
Wow.
So he just moved up to, you know, the mid-4s and decided that was okay for him.
Wow.
So that was interesting. We had another listing that was over 10,000 square feet. You know, normally homes of that size don't typically move very fast, and we've had multiple people, buyers, kind of pursuing that home, and ultimately we're able to put that one in escrow. And then finally, even in the high-rise market, which has been a little bit slower this year relative to single-family homes, we've had one that was over $2 million that we just was able to sell last week for someone, again, coming and moving in from out of town. So, you know, the activity is definitely there. People are feeling it. They're feeling the supply, the tightening of the supply, and I think that's creating people's sense of urgency in the higher end market, because their net worth is still relatively protected. The stock market's doing well, they feel good, their businesses have recovered for many of them. So I guess that's reflecting in these numbers here. And as far as the median price, 6.5%, 6.4%. Obviously that follows. Not as much as the affordable market, and that kind of makes sense that people at the high end are still not going to just pay whatever, but they are going to pursue the homes that are quality out there.
Absolutely, fantastic. Now I'd like to talk about the emerging luxury markets in Las Vegas. I wanted to look at our November numbers, the 90 luxury homes that were sold, and break it down to see which areas in Las Vegas these homes were sold.
Okay.
So I have this graph here, and as you can see, 45.6% came from Summerlin, 25.6% came from the Henderson area, 8.9% came from Southern Highlands, 2.2% came from Queensridge, and then of course 17.7% other. So Randy, talk to us about just kind of your feedback on this breakdown. What have you seen in the past compared to now? Some trends and some movement here that we see.
Yeah, obviously Summerlin is the dominant force at 45%. That isn't a surprise. I think what is a surprise is in the past, that number might have been higher. For a long time, especially above the $2 million mark or the $3 million mark, communities like the Ridges in Summerlin and some of the other custom communities really led the pack in terms of, but in recent years, many people saw McDonald Highlands as a really good choice for those high-end buyers. Why? Because if you're looking for a modern home with a view of the Strip, very difficult to find that in Summerlin. So many people moved over to McDonald Highlands. They still have a golf course, still relatively close to the Strip, great views. So that's been something that we've been following for the last few years. But in to answer your questions about some of the other emerging luxury markets, Southern Highlands is now representing 8.9%. That is not that big of a surprise considering that the Raiders have been a huge factor of coming to this market. And Southern Highlands is positioned pretty much between the practice facility in Henderson and the stadium that's on the south part of the Strip. Also, Southern Highlands happens to be the closest master plan community in Las Vegas to California on your drive in and your drive out. So location-wise, it's very convenient. Has a very, very high quality golf course, arguably one of the best golf courses in the city, and beautiful homes there. Many of a Tuscan influence on the outside. Inside, I think they're making some of them a little more modern. But we've had actually 3 high-end buyers purchased recently, and one of them in Southern Highlands just absolutely loved it. Moved from California, loves golf, really didn't need that big of a home, but there just wasn't much available in the 3 million mark, so moved up to 4.5. There you go. So I think you're going to continue to see some of these trends and see movement around and be a little more diverse in the city where those multi-million-dollar homes are falling. Some of the other parts would be Spanish Hills, record sale last year for $16 million. This year they had a $7.9 million sale recently. So that's a market. Plus a lot of these communities that used to be hot at one time, now people are buying it because of the community, the tree-lined streets, maybe the more mature landscaping, and then they're taking the home and they're doing a full remodel to it. So areas like Tournament Hills and Eagle Hills and Mountain Trails, Canyon Fairways, a lot of these markets, even Spanish Trail, you're seeing a lot of this activity move on. So it'll be exciting to see what comes ahead.
That's fantastic. And as a local expert of Southern Highlands myself, I'm super excited to be able to see these Raider players and coaches at our local Southern Highlands marketplace where I dine with my family and go shopping. We obviously take advantage of all the beautiful parks there. I know you love the golf courses there too, so I'm sure you'll bump into these people too. But Raiders, of course, we're super excited to have them here in our Las Vegas community and looking forward to getting into the stadium, the arena in the near future.
Actually, I had an opportunity to see the first game that was there, which was a UNLV football game.
Nice.
Boy, that stadium is remarkable. So it's going to be exciting to see all the action, all the fans.
Absolutely, and we'll have to make sure we do a video on the Allegiant Stadium. So coming soon, next year. So just wanted to kind of do a deep dive into these different markets. And of course, Summerlin, as you mentioned, has always been kind of the predominant luxury market, especially the 2 million plus. So of the 90 homes that were sold, 41 of them were in the Summerlin area, 45.6%, and their median price was 5% over the the market, which was $1,575,000. This breakdown was really interesting for me because, as you can see, there were 13 homes in the Ridges that were sold of the 41 in Summerlin, and also 12 of them at the Red Rock Country Club. And you can see the difference in the median price here. Ridges at $2 million median price compared to Red Rock Country Club at $1.29. Can you talk to us about that, Randy? Is this a surprise for you, or is this something kind of, something you thought about?
So the Ridges at 13 sales, 2 million. The Ridges typically has been known for the above 2 million market. Maybe the reason why it's averaging at 2 million is they do have some townhomes and some semi-custom production homes. But for the most part, if you want a custom home in the Ridges, you're probably in the 3 up category.
Great.
Whereas Red Rock Country Club, the meat of those sales are gonna fall between, let's say, just under $1 million to almost 2 million for the most, for more or less. But they both sold equal amounts, 12 against 13, which was the majority of that 41. The other 16, though, like we mentioned before, are coming from, again, a lot of those resurging communities that were built maybe 20 years ago that people love because of the mature landscaping and the characteristics. So they don't look so cookie cutter. Places like Mountain Trails, Eagle Hills, Tournament Hills, Canyon Fairways, the Willows, those are all communities, Palisades, these are all communities that have $1 million plus homes in them.
Right.
And you can see there, 16 sales, quite a bit of activity there.
Absolutely. And speaking of Red Rock Country Club, obviously they have a beautiful golf course there, which I'm sure you love playing, but we will be going there next week for our holiday party for our team, so I'm really excited. And another side personal note, I actually got married there at the Red Rock Country Club 13 years ago. So stay tuned for more videos on Red Rock.
There you go.
And now let's look at Henderson. And I love learning more about Henderson because obviously for me, it's a city right next to us, especially from Southern Highlands. It's just right there on St. Rose Parkway, but really looking into the different communities there. So of the 90 luxury homes sold in November, 14 of them were in Henderson, 25.6%. And the median price was $1.575, up by 6.7% compared to the market. So let's look at the Henderson numbers here. We have McDonald's Highlands at 3, we've got Seven Hills, Anthem, Green Valley representation. Oh, but Lake Las Vegas is at 6. Randy, what's going on over there?
Yeah, interesting. Henderson market is very diverse. It has many pocket communities that are selling homes that are over $1 million. Like the ones you mentioned. In addition, you have, Legacy, Roma Hills, etc. But Lake Las Vegas, and interesting you said that, 6 sales. Lake Las Vegas used to be a community that almost was like second or third homes for like international players. It's far out of town, but it's gorgeous. It has a huge lake, etc. What's recently happened is that many of the people, the supply is shrinking across the town, and Lake Las Vegas has frankly more land to build on, and it's gorgeous. So many of the builders are going out there, Blue Heron, some other developers that are building these magnificent homes. And so it's no surprise that we're seeing that Lake Las Vegas is finally kind of coming around and having great performance there.
Wonderful. So Randy, I'd love to kind of get your feedback on the 2 market segments that we always talk about on our team, the luxury market and the move-up market, and what's ahead for them?
Well, it's interesting because we've talked mainly today about the luxury market. In Las Vegas, different people define the luxury market different ways. $1 million and plus just seems to be an even number. If you took the top 10% of the market, believe it or not, it's actually far less.
Yes.
Around 700,000 would be the top 10% of the Las Vegas market. So the median price is $350,000. We were talking about $1 million plus. That's a lot of room in between $350,000 and $1 million. And a lot of those, let's call it 500 to $1 million, are considered the move-up market. What's interesting is that has been a very hot market as well, but the buyers in that range are probably a little different than the million or the 2 million plus high net worth individuals. So the main difference between the move-up market, maybe the $500 to $1 million buyer versus the plus 1 million or even plus 2 million high net worth buyer, there's a few differences. Number one, in the high net worth individuals, they are, for lack of a better word, they buy on mood. Now, what do I mean by that? It's not an ability thing. They're not a debt to income ratio type of buyer. They buy when they feel that they want something, right? Or they feel that it's okay. So for example, if the stock market is doing well and they feel rich, then they feel a little more at ease, that they have a positive outlook on the future political climate or the economic climate. They tend to take more action there. And especially in this environment, what we're seeing is that people are dividing their residences because of COVID.
Right.
Instead, they're not relying on the travel industry to say, we're going to go travel here, we're going to go to a hotel or whatever. They're literally saying, we envision our family and our friends that when we go here, we're going to own this place so that we have total control about where we live. And they're not afraid to spend a lot of money on a vacation home. You're seeing this across the country, whether it's winter resort areas, whether it's summer resort areas, or just great cities in general. The move-up market, on the other hand, that is a lot more of the balance of affordability. Hey, I have disposable income, I have more buying power, especially with interest rates being low, I have more buying power, so now, what do I do? And I think the name of the game for those buyers, and the advice we always give is, with interest rates being so low, don't try to time the market, move because the affordability is there for you. And if you find something that you like, have the confidence that where you're going to move out of, you're going to get top dollar for it right now, especially if you're moving up the ladder.
Absolutely.
So that's the difference between the move-up market and the luxury market, and I think hopefully we'll get into that a little bit more. I know we're running short on time, so
absolutely.
in the future.
Yeah, we'd love to cover the move-up market possibly in the next month market update.
So Kaori, thank you so much for the presentation today. This was absolutely wonderful. I'm Randy Char, owner and broker of Char Luxury Real Estate. Really appreciate you joining, and I look forward to speaking to you next time about more exciting topics.